and greetings from Abu Dhabi, the UAE. I have two distinguished guests today on the program, Dr. Peter Aiken and Todd Harbour. If you think about what executive management, certain companies, the amount of power they yield due to the fact that there are people a lot of people in society that are unaware of the power they might potentially be giving up. This kind of balance. So why should society care about what's happening when it comes to organizations making decisions about data? And what is the societal impact? I mean, you mentioned one, for example, a tech company. I think if you look at the mass media right now, there might be a few usual suspects, but still, what do you think about this particular point?
So the real key is to understand that the goal of this is absolutely in the most benign possible sense to feed people more advertising. That's horrible just for a starter. But truly what it really is that it's actually manipulation of people's behaviors, because that is what advertising is fundamentally. So we can change, and we have seen changes in people's behavior that is due simply to the data analysis. The whole Cambridge Analytica scandal proved that we could elect people in Malaysia who were not, quote, electable, but because Cambridge Analytica was allowed to manipulate Facebook postings around this, they were able to take and literally transform society. So while we might say, oh, it's only advertising, and don't get me wrong, I don't think even that's a good excuse. No, but what we're really talking about is control and power in society.
And if you think about the civic perspective on that, giving away that power unknowingly, generationally, and also globally, all these different countries. I mean, people will talk about, for example, in certain countries, the digital native, levels are higher than others, or access to the internet is higher, or whatever. So if we look at those perspectives, what is the importance of this topic, meaning data literacy at its core to society?
You just said one right there, which is we have this illusion that the younger people, because they've been using their devices all this time, are smarter about data. They are not. They're the first ones to admit that they do not fully understand exactly what's happening. When they find out things such as we tell them, just take a very simple example. If an app asks you for, can I get access to your location? Well, that sounds like a pretty request. And some of them actually say, while you're using the app versus not while you're time. But the measurements around this, we've seen as high as 1,400 times a day, 14,000 times a day that your location is pushed out for people. Well, that's a little bit more than just where you are. And it also tells you how long you're spending at each particular location at a 14,000 person sampling initiative around this. And that's not disclosed. People have no idea. That's literally like having somebody on your shoulder following you around all the time. You might as well be wearing a body cam.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I mean, when I'm asked, for example, can we see your location while using, like now I'm using it, and then I want to shut you out, because I don't want them to constantly be tracking me. But to that point, I'm going to go on to that question, because I think that's an amazing point that you brought up. In the book, you speak about the concept of pairing. So pairing that young person where there is, you were talking about the misconception around the younger person. So you call them the MDSs, and pairing them with the ADSs. Can you tell the audience about who are these different profiles and what is the purpose of the pairing? What are you suggesting?
Ted, did you come up with the MDS or was that me? But anyway, you jump in.
So I don't remember whether it was Peter's idea or mine or both, or how it worked out. But the idea is that when you're looking at children, parents are now giving their kids phones and other technology at a very, very early age. And you can see very quickly how children adapt to these devices. they become experts very, very quickly at the mechanical part of it, pressing buttons, sliding things, manipulating the device to get to whatever thing that they want. Well, along the way, these apps are monitoring things.
Yeah.
They are. They're counting everything because from a corporate perspective, they're able to learn information about their market, their customers, and that may or may not be a good thing. I mean, that's sort of a separate discussion. But the point is that young people are very, very good at manipulating these tools. The ADS is sort of the next step up in sort of the awareness or the literacy scale, right? So you have adult people who are generating massive amounts of data. They're creating all kinds of data, and they may know a little bit more than a child, but not necessarily all that they should know.
Right.
So all we're trying to say is there's a scale. There's a scale of awareness and knowledge and literacy that we all go through. And now it starts at a very, very, very early age.
Yeah. So it's almost like you were talking about children, or let's say younger people in general, being able to navigate the buttons and the technical part of the devices, to be able to consume whatever or interact however. And it seems a little bit more intuitive with younger people. When it comes to somebody who might be older, more mature, however mature, there's an extra layer, and that extra layer is kind of taking into consideration what could be the impact of this on my life or privacy or these things. So it's kind of like a responsible, like thinking ahead and not just being in the moment. Because I think I have two daughters, one's just 20, the other one's 14. And yeah, they've learned also along the way, hey, it's not just the device, you know what I mean? It's not just the instant gratification of what I'm getting. So that's what you're referring to, this pairing up to be able to take people along in the literacy journey. Is that what you meant by pairing up?
It also gets into the concept of how much we can control as a society. So we are not able to pass a law that says anybody getting a device should be literate. That's just not going to happen. But what we can control is the knowledge workers in our organizations. And so Todd and I are predicting that within a very short amount of time, HR, given two candidates of equal capabilities, will pick the one who is more data literate than the one who is less data literate. And that is the easiest, fastest way to make your entire organization more data literate, is by bringing in data literacy into your organization and getting the knowledge workers to do it. I don't care how many scientists you have, they do not interact with the general population of your organization. And data scientists are going to be the least people who are going to be following any kinds of rules around that. Whereas with knowledge workers, we can put them under a code of conduct. We can make them take training around data just the same way as we do with respect to security and other aspects of this. And we are seeing that these aspects that we're highlighting in this book are no less important than the other ones for which we have all been drummed into. Again, be careful with your Title IX. That's a component we have here in the U.S. Be careful with your language. We were joking just before we got started. These are things that we absolutely recognize as a society are making a difference. Now we have to start doing it from this perspective as well.
I really love being in discovering different industries. I find it fascinating, all the different contexts and stories, and being a data chick, I love seeing that data can make such a big impact all over the place. It's wonderful. It's not all bad. You can do good.
That's right.
Data. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Althea.